All right, so hi, I'm Mrs. Velto. I think you guys saw me in some of the lessons that Mr. Staley did. And what I'm going to try to do is pick back up with you guys and kind of add on to what Mr. Staley's been doing with you. So we're going to talk today about nouns. So first and foremost, we have to determine what parts of speech are we even talking about in English. What is a noun? So if you remember way back, you've got a noun as a person, place, or thing. So things like a cat, things like a lady, things like school. These are all nouns. So what the thing we're going to talk about mostly today is the gender of nouns. Now, something that Spanish and other languages do that English doesn't do is determine that some nouns are masculine and some are feminine. Sometimes that actually means that they're associated with a girl or a guy, but a lot of times inanimate objects like a house or a car are going to get their own gender. So I'm going to talk to you guys about what I mean about gender. Okay, so first and foremost, when you're looking at a noun in Spanish, you mostly want to know what gender is it so I can make a good sentence. Whether you're speaking it, whether you're writing it, we need to know what the gender of the noun is because the noun plays a huge part in the rest of the sentence and how you construct it. They say the noun is the most important part, and I tend to agree. So how to identify a noun as feminine? What you want to do is look at your ending. So feminine nouns generally will end with an A, an ION, a TAD, or a DAD. So my examples at the bottom of the screen here, the word amiga ends with an A, so we know that it is feminine. And this one actually does deal with people, so it deals with female people, a female friend, amiga. The second example, nación, it's got that ION ending, so that's another feminine example. It means nation. A word that ends with a TAD, you've got libertad, and that is liberty. So doesn't mean that liberty is for girls or anything like that. It just means that they identify it and call it feminine based on the ending. And finally, you've got a DAD example, which is nacionalidad, which is nationality. So now that you know your feminine endings, masculines will say, as a rule, end with O, or anything else that doesn't fall under those female categories. Now, of course, there will always be exceptions to the rules, but this is a good start, knowing that the endings for feminine and the endings for masculine will carry a certain importance as masculine or feminine. So my examples, a word that ends with an O that's very similar to the word that we saw for a female friend is a male friend, amigo. The only thing that changed was the A was changed to an O. And with a lot of the professions or words associated with people, you'll just be changing the last letter to make something masculine or feminine. And then a word that's inanimate is guante, glove. Notice it doesn't end with an O, but it doesn't meet any of those other rules for feminine, so we assume that it's a masculine word, guante, glove. So here are some rules. When you want to make something that's singular, like a noun that's an object, into something that's plural, like say we have one hat, sombrero. If we want to make that more than one, all we need to do is add an S. So sombrero goes to sombreros. And this can be for any letter that's a vowel. So the next one, glove, ends with an E, but to make it gloves, all you had to do was add an S. Guante to guantes. And then my last example, it's feminine because it ends with an A, sopa, which means soup. All you have to do is add an S to make it soups, sopas. So that's for words that end with vowels. Words that end with consonants, so anything that's not an A, E, I, O, U, you'll have to add an ES to make it plural. So my first example, a belt, cinturón. To make it plural, we add an ES, cinturones. Second example, a tree, árbol. To make it more trees, you have an ES on the end, árboles. So that's how you talk about nouns, making them singular and plural, identifying them as masculine or feminine. But remember, I said we need to be able to work with the noun to complete our sentence. It has a great bearing on other parts of the sentence. So we're going to talk next about articles. An article is the word the, an, or some, and it goes directly in front of a noun. So in Spanish, there are 4 words that mean the. They're very specific. So if you have a word that's masculine, remember words that end with O or that don't follow the female rules, they'll have the word el in front of them. If you want to say the hat, we looked at the word sombrero. This will become el sombrero for the hat. If you wanted to make it hats plural, remember, to make hat plural, we're just going to add an S, become sombreros. But we also have to change the word for the, and this becomes los. So el will actually change to los. When you have a word that's feminine, like for example soup, we're going to use the word la in front of it, because the word soup ends with an A also and is feminine. So la will go in front of singular feminine words. Now what do you think we would do to make this plural? Well, notice how with making words plural that are nouns, all you have to do is add an S if it ends in a vowel. So sopa, simply slide the S on the end. Sopas. Now that's soups. If I want to make it the soups, all I need to do is add an S to la, so it becomes las sopas, the soups. So, like I mentioned, nouns are important. They're going to tell you the gender of your article. They're going to tell you which one you need to use. So you're going to be looking at the end of your noun to tell which article you're putting in front of the noun. So, el goes in front of masculine, singular nouns. I say el gato, the cat, because gato ends with an O. La goes in front of feminine singular nouns like taza, or a cup. La, taza. Notice they both end in A. Los will be put in front of masculine plural nouns. So those words that end with an OS or an ES. We've got los gatos as an example. And then finally, we've got las going in front of feminine plural nouns, words that end with an AS, like tazas. So it becomes las tazas for the cups. So in recap, you've got 4 words that mean the, and depending on which one or how the noun ends, that's how you're going to decide which article to use for the. El, la, los, or las. So you've also got indefinite articles. Those are slightly different. These are the ones that mean a, an, or some. In English, you know how if you have a noun that begins with a vowel, you have to use an. Well, in Spanish, it doesn't work like that, okay? So we've got 2 words that mean a and 2 words that mean some. And just like with the definite articles, your choice is going to depend on the ending of your noun. So if I want to say I'm either going to say un if I'm putting it in front of a masculine word, or una in front of a feminine word. If I want to say some, if I'm going to use a masculine word that's more than one, I'll say unos. And if I want to say some with feminine things, I'll say unas. Notice the AS ending for female plural, the OS for masculine plural. Again, nouns are going to determine the gender of the articles. So the endings of your nouns are going to tell you which ones of the articles that we had for an, and some you're going to put in front. So if I wanted to say a cat, the word cat is gato. So because it's masculine, because it's singular, I choose the masculine singular article, un, for a. If I have a feminine thing like a cup, we want to say a cup, we say una. You add the A to the end of the UN. So notice, una with an A, taza with an A. We want to say some cats, more than one. gatos is cats, we want to have the article that has os. So some will have os, unos. And then finally we've got feminine plural, some. When we're talking about tazas, cups plural, we want to have unas with an as that matches up with the as in tazas.